Welcome to the new River City Gamers Podcast, hosted by SCXCR and Well Unreal 007, as well as many other members from the River City Gamers website. Stay tuned for all the gaming news, new pickups, and everything else we feel like talking about on the River City Gamers Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the River City Gamers Podcast. I'm SCXCR.
I am Unreal.
I'm Blondy Gamer.
And I don't know why I'm so tired right now.
Will I get enough sleep or what?
Yes, that's why I'm confused about it.
Well, while you're, fatigued, I'm sick. So, yeah. It's gonna sound really bad during this podcast. A little nasally.
I just have a bit of insomnia. That's the only thing I have going right now.
I'm surprised you didn't use one of your sick days.
No, I couldn't. I was the only person working that day.
Good, because you don't have any. Now why don't you tell us about gaming news?
Gaming news! So real.
I wouldn't. I'm using my sick day.
You don't have sick days.
No, I do!
Alright, we're going to keep gaming news pretty light. However, we are contractually obligated to at least mention the Nintendo Switch. Because that happened 2 days after we recorded the other podcast.
Well,
we gotta reschedule this shit.
Well, it's tradition that something always happens or gets announced right after we do a podcast. So be prepared for the next news that when we do release this episode.
Final Fantasy 15 delayed by 1 day.
Anyway, Nintendo revealed their next console, handheld, whatever it is, called the Switch. Insert Will Smith joke here. Now, we don't actually know very much about it yet. I'll sum up what we do know. It's going to use not discs, but some other form of, I guess, cartridge or card or something like that.
I think it's kind of like micro SD cards, or at least,
No, micro SD is not that big.
Well, I meant in terms of it's cartridge, kind of like maybe like the Vita's cartridges.
Yeah,
like that.
Exactly.
That's what I meant to say. That's just what I assume. Yeah, this also means that it's not going to be backwards compatible with Wii U discs. So
hold on to your Wii U. Don't be Oni.
Yeah. That being said, though, do you think that maybe you could still download Wii U games on the Switch?
I'm assuming they're going to have some sort of downloadable service to play games on it.
Well, yeah, because...
Or they could re-release it, but that'd be
Either that or it's Switch versions of previous Wii U games, maybe?
Possibly.
Because, with what they showed in the trailer, we saw games like Mario Kart 8 and Splatoon, but there's things that weren't in the original release of, both games. With Splatoon, there's, hairstyles and a bunch of, other clothing options. And with Mario Kart, there was King Boo, who was not a playable character, even with DLC. So it's they could be adding more into these Switch versions, or they could be entirely new installments. We don't really know.
Well, on to something else that we know about it, and this is getting more to the tech end of it. It's not confirmed, but they're saying that the screen for the Switch is going to be a 720p multi-touch screen. It means that you can touch it in more than one different place and have something happen. It's not like the DS or 3DS screens, which are just pure pressure-based, and you can just hit one point.
Oh, so is it like smartphones in that regard?
Yeah, more like that.
Yeah, because with smartphones you can do stuff where it's in order to zoom in on something, if you're browsing on a web page or something, you can basically pinch the screen to zoom in and out. It's like that. So would the Switch have that capacity?
Well, if this report is correct, then I guess so.
Interesting to see if they utilize that in some games.
Something else we know about it, and this is confirmed because the company announced it in a blog entry on their site. The Switch is not going to use AMD hardware. It's using NVIDIA hardware. Specifically, it's going to use a custom-built processor, and a bunch of the architecture behind it is similar to what NVIDIA used for the Shield.
That's interesting because I believe the Wii U and I think previous Nintendo consoles before that were AMD. So.
Yep, the Wii U was AMD, and so is the PS4, and so is the Xbox One.
Interesting that they would switch to NVIDIA for the Switch, but I guess maybe it was the most, in terms of their business, it was the most cost-effective thing to do at the time, right now, maybe? Like, I don't know much about graphics cards in general, but that's just what I assume.
Or maybe it would be something that would be more effective to develop for. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe something like
but
that.
I'm not going to say I'm surprised they switched for the Switch.
Well, it took us that long to make jokes on that.
Yeah. Can we talk about like how it actually looks?
Well, I'm going to mention this one last thing, which is Nintendo, when they announced the Switch, they gave this huge graphic of people who are partnered to develop for or supply tools for the Switch. And I'll just give you a quick rundown of some of the names. 505 Games, Activision, Arc System Works, Atlas, Bandai Namco, Bethesda, Capcom, Codemasters, EA, From Software, Game Trust, Grasshopper Manufacturer, Inti Creates, Koei Tecmo, it took me a moment to realize what that logo was, Konami, Level 5, Nippon Ichi Software, Platinum, Sega, Spike Chunsoft, Square Enix, Take-Two Interactive, Telltale, THQ Nordic, Tokyo RPG Factory, Ubisoft, for now. We don't know how they can be. Warner Brothers, and then there's some tools here like it's going to support Cryware, Havoc Engine, Rad Game Tools, Unity. I know that's kind of polarizing, but that's just...
It could be good. It could be good Unity stuff.
There is good Unity stuff, but I blame Steam Greenlight for
and
Unity's name getting dragged through the mud.
Not to mention all the Fearless games that you've done.
Yeah, by the way, I'm set on Fearless for like 2 months now.
Well, thanks to the marathon you did a while back, but yeah.
Yeah, and that's just the names that they announced for this.
Yeah, it seems like initially they do have some support for this, and people will always argue that third party for Nintendo consoles as of late isn't really its strongest suit, but who knows? Maybe with this new console, it'll breathe some new life into third party support, at least at first. Of course, it like with the Wii U, it depends on sales and everything of whether or not they'll stick around, or even if they do some interesting and cool things with the Switch and not just be, I don't know, ports or whatever.
Yeah, that's something else. I noticed in the video that at one point there's a dude who's playing, I think it was Skyrim?
Yeah, it could have been, it might have been the special edition Skyrim that just came out.
Yeah,
recently,
but Bethesda
so
was like, yeah, Skyrim's not confirmed for the Switch.
But they showed, like, someone playing what looked pretty much was Skyrim on the Switch.
Then why would Bethesda say that? Like,
because Todd Howard had to lie about something this month.
You see that Nintendo Switch? You could play it on an airplane.
You could play it on a roof party in other places.
And you could play it underwater.
Well, I will say that having it be a system where it's like you can both play just in your living room or wherever, just it has like a dock where you just put it in, you play it on your TV, and then you can just take it out and attach controllers to the sides of it and play it like a Wii U gamepad, or you can even like prop it up as a little, just prop it up against on a table or something. And then you can play with these little mini controllers, which are essentially the sides of a Wii U gamepad, which initially it looks a little weird, but it could still work to play, just more simplistic two-player games or whatever, just anywhere really. So it's, it looks neat and it's interesting. Of course, the question is whether or not it'll be, worth it in the long run.
Well, Nintendo's holding off on announcing any specifics about the console until, I believe, early next year.
Yeah, they're definitely holding back, like, information about this. Like, we didn't get any info about it until last month, and then it's like it's going to be out in March, but we weren't going to tell you much more about it until January. That's I'm not exactly sure if this is the best marketing strategy, but I guess it is. I guess it's enough to make a buzz about it. So maybe that's what they're going for.
Well, you know what? I was going to say that Nintendo was missing out on the holiday rush, and they were going to get absolutely hammered financially by not really having anything for the holiday season. Then the NES Classic Edition came out.
Right. And in, I guess, Nintendo tradition, it seems to be supply and demand doesn't seem to go hand in hand with this, from what I've heard.
Yeah, they sold out almost immediately. And part of this is due to stocking issues. There were reports that GameStops were only stocked with about 8 of them per store. And Best Buy was more in the neighborhood of something like 20 per store.
So basically it's just the original Wii all over again.
Yeah, well, we'll see how long it takes them to get stock back in.
Or to a lesser extent,
wait till next year.
Or to a lesser extent, like the Amiibos at first. But yeah, I guess this doesn't really surprise anyone, considering it was going to be kind of a hot item, because there's a lot of nostalgic connection with the original NES. It could appeal to people who had one growing up, but didn't really hold on to it or whatever. And it's like, oh, you can just get this, and you have a bunch of games on it already. You don't have to go out to a pawn store or something and find one and collect, which will probably end up costing more than this little thing that you would buy. And it's it's a neat little collector's thing to begin with. So of course there's going to be a lot of demand for it.
By the way, as of the recording of this podcast, Amazon still sold out.
Of course they are. Probably going to be sold out till Christmas.
That's why they'll be restocked next year. One copy.
Just in time for the Switch.
Yeah.
And then people are going to have a hard time, getting the Switch when it comes out, if this trend continues.
And when they find out that they're out of stock in whatever store they've been waiting for them, then they'll go, hey, hey. Moving from Nintendo to Ubisoft.
No.
This isn't explicitly negative Ubisoft news. This is actually kind of a nostalgia bomb. Frederick... Who? I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, sorry. Recently dug deep into the Ubisoft closet and found the original ROM for the SNES version of Rayman.
Oh yeah, right.
Oh yeah, because it was originally a Super Nintendo game at first, wasn't it?
It literally is just the raw ROM, no shell around it or anything, just plugged into an SNES.
Yeah.
Do you think they're gonna dump the ROM online?
I don't know about that.
Someone might find a way to. You never know.
It might be cool if they do, because what are they gonna do with this?
This reminds me of like the original version of it's basically the game that Banjo-Kazooie was originally conceptualized as. I believe it was codenamed as Dream, like back when Rare was doing that. Because originally Banjo-Kazooie was like a completely different game. It was on the Super Nintendo, and actually Rare Replay, I believe, when they, the documentary style videos and that, they released a channel on YouTube. They released a video showing the original prototype of that game on the Super Nintendo, because it uses kind of like Donkey Kong Country style ish graphics, but it was more like you were like a pirate guy walking around and stuff. So seeing this Rayman thing just reminded me of that. So it's interesting to see to actually finally see early prototypes of games that were originally on this previous console before it was actually finalized as like what we know now. Also, is it just me, or does Rayman look a little dumpy in the original Super Nintendo version?
A little bit, yeah. And we switch from Ubisoft games to Epic Games. Specifically, the founder of Epic Games, Tim Sweeney. I don't know if you know this about him, but he's really big on the whole nature conservation thing. So much so that he recently paid the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service $15 million to protect 7,000 acres of untouched land in North Carolina.
Okay.
He actually started this back in 2008. And across the entire state of North Carolina, he owns about 40,000 acres.
Wow.
And he's not doing anything with it. It's just conservation space.
Well, yeah, I mean, if he wants to literally wants to preserve nature, you know, that's just what he does, or what he'll do with it.
And I'll end this with good news, bad news. Do you want?
As most news tends to be.
Okay, it involves Square Enix, and it involves Bravely Default.
Oh. I think I already know where this is going.
The good news is, there's a new entry in Bravely Default called Bravely Default Fairies Effect. The bad news is, it's for iOS and Android.
You know, I was about to guess. The bad news is it's a mobile entry, isn't it?
I'm not as upset about that, because I've actually had Bravely Second End Layer sitting on my desk, and I haven't touched it yet. Now, I'm still not.
I still haven't got.
I've had first two games sitting around with the collector's edition, and I haven't touched it yet.
That's what true collectors do. Just collect the games and don't play them, right?
I want to play it. It's fun.
But yeah, I only have the first Bravely Default, and I haven't played through that yet, so I can't really talk either. This is really just more of like just a mobile spin-off whatever type game, right?
Yeah.
So, whatever. That's all I have to say, really.
Well, that's pretty much all that I had for gaming news. So let's take a look at what is coming out in the next couple of months, because it is the holiday season. And we're not going to spend much time talking about Nintendo.
Well, no, they're saving up for the Switch. And
well, even for like the 3DS, there's not a whole lot. It's basically Super Mario Maker at the beginning of December, and then Pokemon Sun and Moon in like 5 days, and that's it.
Oh yeah, the release, that's Super Mario Maker for the 3DS, right?
Yeah.
I forgot they were doing that for 3DS, but okay.
Meanwhile...
So, anything else?
Something about dogs. 2 of them.
Okay, next.
Wait, what? Wait, what? I'm confused. What about dogs?
Watch Dogs 2.
Oh, okay. Well...
Pass.
And GameStop has 3 different special editions.
I almost thought you said they only have 3 copies, more understocked than the NES Classic.
But they probably don't want people trading them in like they did with the first one anymore.
I hate how true that is, because when I was at Anime North, there were like a bunch of copies just at the EB Games, like lined up. So you're not wrong.
That's why I call it the most traded in game of 2014.
Well, let's see. I'm not anticipating people trading this in as quickly. End of November, Final Fantasy 15. And I was right, it's 1 day off of my birthday.
Oh shit. But you don't got a PS4, nor would you buy it.
Yeah, I'm not buying this.
I mean, even if
I will let you guys know if I end up buying it on launch or not. Like, I might have the money, but Black Friday has a great new 3DS deal that I'm gonna dive into, like, more than the games. Seriously, $100 for a new 3DS, I'm in. Let's see those sell out.
this deal get trampled or whatever at Black Friday. But,
that hasn't happened at GameStops. If I went to Walmart, I'd probably die. But
well, that's just Walmart in general. But but yeah, I know Final Fantasy has been a little rocky in recent years, but 15 looks cool for what it is. I don't know if I'll get
Did you know it took
soon.
12 years to make this installment?
Jeez, that's longer than Owlboy.
Or Boyhood. That took 12 years to make. Actually, I don't know how long 15 was in production for, under the Versus 13 moniker, but it's been a while. Still probably not as long as Duke Forever, which was like 12 years.
Well, some games just do take that long and go through different iterations and all that, so...
And we'll still never get Half-Life 3.
Well, if we keep saying that, then, we'll actually...
I will, because Look what happened with Shenmue 3 out of fucking nowhere.
I'll just keep saying that till we get Beyond Good and Evil 2, really. But
That has more like hope right now since they're actually.
well, they keep teasing it. That's all they've done.
Also, look
So-
at this Rayman dump. I mean, ROM. We're gonna dump it.
Just don't dump your ass all over it.
Dude, they'll dump their ass on the fucking ROM. It's gone forever.
Probably it's Ubisoft. Moving on. Speaking of Ubisoft, Steep, beginning of December.
That snowboarding game.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
and
That
also, fuck you, Ubisoft. Calling it Day 1 Edition does not make it special in any way.
Ugh.
Why do you do that? Just call it
I-
the game name.
Hey, it's not the only developer. We've got Metal Gear Solid 5 saying that. You've got fucking. No! How about Day 0 Edition for Call of Duty? That's special, right? You go, like. There's no days. The game's not out. Shut up.
yeah, I mean, you buy it day one. Woo! You gave it.
Ubisoft does
that.
it a lot.
It's like, wow, you bought it day one. Congrats. You're just that into commercialism.
Can you just get that logo off my fucking cover art? Like,
Anyway, Steep.
Yeah,
Snowboard kids.
remember seeing that back in E3. Eh.
Yeah, where people fucking die when they, like, wingsuit into mountains.
We're into a church bell.
Also, I forgot about Dead Rising 4.
Oh yeah, that is coming out soon, isn't it?
Moving on. The last one I'm mentioning, and please don't let it jinx this again. Last Guardian. Also,
Yeah,
have you
that-
seen-
Let's hope. I just want to hear. I just want to look on the news and have it say Last Guardian has gone gold instead of delayed.
Shuei Yoshida already said it went gold.
All right. There's no way they can fuck this up now.
Well, I will say this: if I do get a PlayStation 4 for the holiday season, it's just something I'm thinking about. I'm not sure if I actually will or not, but this game will definitely be one of the ones to get.
I'm gonna see if I can have that as a birthday gift, not the special edition. I don't think A, I'd be able to fit anything like that in my room as it stands, and B, well, there's no way I'm asking for a $120 gift for my birthday. I'll probably just give me the game. Please be good.
That's what I do mostly. I mean, giant collector's editions like that are cool, but they're expensive, and
Here's my question. For a guy that played Shadow of the Colossus for 30 minutes and Ico for 0 minutes, how important would Last Guardian be to me?
I mean, I still assume it'd be a good game because it's made by the same people that did those. Even if you haven't played much of those games beforehand, I don't think there's like that much of a direct connection between them. In any way, they might be loosely connected, I believe, but I think you could still get into Last Guardian without necessarily playing through the entirety of their previous two games that they made.
Okay.
I mean, I've only played a tiny bit of Ico, and I played some of Shadow of Colossus, but I haven't beaten it yet. So I'm not that much further familiar with those games either. So I still want to get Last Guardian. So
that's the end of. What's this segment called again?
games that are coming out.
Upcoming releases.
God, I'm out of it. Anyway, moving on to recently played. And does anyone want to go first on this?
I guess I'll go first. Back on Halloween, I decided to finally play a game that I bought quite a while ago on my PlayStation 3 because it was on sale some time ago, and that was actually the first Fatal Frame, which was originally a PlayStation 2 game, but I saw that the trilogy was on the PlayStation Network store from the PlayStation 3. It was on sale, so I figured, you know what, why not? Because they were cheap, and I've heard good things about Fatal Frame in terms of like how scary they actually are and all that in terms of a survival horror game series. And I did play a bit of it for Halloween, because spooks and all that. And so far I like it. Now I have only played about an hour of it, so far, but I do like how the mechanics of using a camera to fight against ghosts work in this game, because essentially you're going to a haunted old Japanese mansion, and essentially your camera is your weapon against ghosts that go after you. What you have to do is that the game, when you walk around, it's in third person, but you use your camera in first person, and you have to, look at the ghosts as they're slowly creeping up towards you, and they're all distorted and, pretty scary looking. And you basically have to like take pictures of them in order to stun them, to fend them off, and eventually you keep taking pictures of them until they dissipate because you capture their souls or through the camera. I like how the game does it, and in terms of like, a very dark, creepy atmosphere, it works very well. And exploring the mansion, you find different notes about the previous people that were here and everything. Beyond that, it's it's not a too complex of a game, but it's effective in its survival horror nature. So far, I'm enjoying that game, and if I ever do beat that game, I got 2 and 3 also on my PlayStation 3. I can just play right away afterwards. So now I believe 4 didn't come out here, and you have to do some workarounds if you want to play that version.
Yeah, speaking of, I have a Japanese Wii and a Japanese copy of that.
Okay, so yeah, there's that, and I think you would need to like download a fan-made patch in order if you want to play it in English, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And then we did get 5 on Wii U, but that's download only, because we've complained about how much it takes up your hard drive on Wii U and stuff like that, but at least it's there, unlike 4. But yeah, as an introduction for me for this series, I think I can get into it as another survival horror series. I mean, I guess I wouldn't say it's like it's up there and with like Resident Evil or Silent Hill in terms of like the well-known survival horror series, but I still think it holds up on its own in what it achieves to be, in that it's like a more Japanese horror movie style game.
Well, that is what they were inspired by.
Yeah, because it is. Well, on the cover of the first game, it says based on a true story, which
it's not.
It's a bit of a stretch, to market it that way, but it's more like based on like an actual place that people got spooked in. So and then it's like, oh, there's ghosts here and stuff,
Yeah, it is based on actual haunted locations in Japan, but it's not based on a true story.
No, I mean it's not like actual people took pictures of ghosts, but so. Yeah, so far I'm enjoying Fatal Frame. And now this next game that I actually did play through and completed it, no less. And this was actually a game that SCR here gave me back at Youmacon, because he did a little grab bag thing of sorts for us to do, which was a bunch of PC games that you got on clearance from like, what store was it again that was closing down?
It was an Office Max that was closing down, and I got
Office
all of these
Max
games for, I think, 43 cents each.
Wow. That's like even cheaper than Steam sales. But yeah, I got a few of them, and 3 of them were kind of... But there was one game that I did know of, and I was actually glad to get, and that's Costume Quest. Now, this is actually it's a downloadable RPG, or at least originally was a downloadable RPG. It's made by Double Fine, who also did Psychonauts, and most recently the remasters of like Grim Fandango and Day of the Tentacle, and they also did Broken Age, a bunch of other games. But this was their first, I guess, downloadable game. And what's interesting is that this PC version, I didn't even know they did a physical release of. So, and it actually does include the DLC too, so that's actually nice too. Now, what this game is about, you play as kids going out on Halloween for trick-or-treating. The only thing is that This is actually an RPG in which you go from house to house, and there's a chance where you can encounter monsters. And when you do, the costumes that you're wearing get you go into a battle screen where they get portrayed into these like super exaggerated forms of what they're wearing, like of super powered up versions of them, of their costumes, of their characters that they're portraying. And in terms of like the actual RPG mechanics in this, it's more of like a shorter, more simplified RPG game. All the costumes have a basic attack, and they all have different prompts, but it's usually like the same few prompts for certain costumes. Like sometimes you have to just press a button that shows up, or time a button press correctly, or just rotate a control stick or something like that to do a successful attack that'll do more damage. There's also, when you get attacked, you press a button prompt to defend yourself, that kind of thing. It's a little bit of a more simpler RPG in that sense, but it's still a fun, kind of cute little game in which you're just kids go around, and the story is that you're just that you pick either a boy or a girl twin, and you have to save your sibling that gets kidnapped, and then you go through a few areas, essentially trick-or-treating to get candy, and that candy is actually your currency, which you can also use to buy what were they called, battle patches for your costume, which gives you added effects like more attack power or abilities that can stun enemies, that kind of thing. So it's obviously not the most complex game in the world, but there's still a few little mechanics and clever things that are added, and the sense of humor that Double Fine usually has with their games is here too. It's pretty self-aware and has a few good laughs in there too. Also, the costumes that you have also have abilities outside of battle. Like, for example, you have a robot. You start with a robot costume, and its ability outside of battles is to roll around on these like roller shoes, which makes you just skate around fast. You can also go up ramps with it. So, in that sense, it was a fun, just kind of light RPG. It's not long at all. It won't take you more than like 10 hours, I say, even with the DLC chapter that's included with the PC versions. And I know I played this past Halloween, but if you're looking for a more like, I guess, laid back, casual kind of RPG, that's just kind of fun and silly, then yeah, I definitely recommend it. Oh yeah, there's also a sequel, so
They made a sequel?
Yeah, I know. I don't know if I actually will cover it as they made a sequel, but I do at least want to, play it. Maybe I'll get it off of Steam one day. I don't know.
Make it a spin-off called They Made a Sequel, but have an exclamation mark.
Okay.
They made a sequel!
Yeah, get hyped for Costume Quest 2. Remember that?
Unreal, why don't you go next?
Okay. A couple of weeks ago, I ended up finishing Yakuza 3 as part of my let's catch up on this franchise before Yakuza 0 comes out type of thing. The game was good. My biggest problem, though, that kind of helped, I don't want to say helped, it kind of hindered me from, getting really enthusiastic about it, was that the pacing wasn't that great in this one. A lot of the time, you're especially early on, a lot of the time you're just taking care of the orphanage you're running, and it's really slow, just babysitting these kids. And nothing really picks up for, I don't know. I'm trying to remember the time frame. Probably just, maybe roughly 2 hours. You do, beat up some guys in between them, in between that time frame. But once the initial slump is over, the game really picks up and becomes great again. But then sometimes things do slow down, but not to the point where it was as bad as that initial slump. Story-wise, I thought it was all right, but unfortunately, since I kind of already knew what had happened in the game, like I've been doing this franchise out of order, especially since my first Yakuza game was 5. So it's all weird. It is still worth playing. I should note that anyone who has played Yakuza 3 probably already knows that a lot of stuff got cut for the North American release. So there's a bunch of things that just didn't make it over here, and it wasn't great decision for doing that. So if you want to experience everything, you're probably going to want to import it. But in general, like, I didn't really get to do much of the side stuff in Yakuza 3, so I'm not entirely sure what exactly got cut outside of, like, maybe some of the Love Hotel stuff, I believe. Or no, I'm not sure if that's what it was called. It's more like host. I think it was the Hostess mini games where you, like, you know, go to like girl clubs and just like kind of date like a bunch of like girls and stuff. I think that was cut. I'm pretty sure the other games like did better with that, to the point where like with Yakuza 0, Sega's like, we're not censoring anything, so don't worry, like nothing's getting cut for the Western release of Yakuza 0.
Yeah.
So there's that to look forward to. I'm not sure if things got cut in 4 and 5, but I know 3 had it the worst in terms of content cuts.
Well, I was gonna say, I think by the time Zero's coming up, people know what to expect with these games, so maybe that's why they're not necessarily like leaving things out.
Or more like they've heard the complaints from fans and they're like, okay, we can't really cut anything.
Yeah.
Because people like that dumb shit.
It kind of reminds me how in the early Tales games, a lot of like the skit stuff or conversations were like cut out in those games, especially the PlayStation Tales games.
That's lame.
Yeah, because we missed out on like a bunch of conversations because of that. But later localizations fixed that, thankfully.
Yeah, now you're getting like games every other year.
Hey, I'll take it.
There was one last thing I wanted to mention. I'm blanking. Tales made me forget what I wanted to talk about with Yakuza 3, like, lastly.
Sorry.
It was... Oh, fuck! It was... I can't fucking remember. Great. Great. Well, I completely forgot what I was going to talk about with that.
Whatever, it happens.
I feel like it was something also related to the content cut. Fuck. Oh, whatever. I'm currently on to, like, playing Yakuza 4 right now. I'll talk about that whenever I beat it. In the meantime, I also I redboxed for a single day around, like, a little bit before Halloween, Titanfall 2. I wanted to check out the single player. Color me surprised at how good it actually was.
Yeah, I've actually heard good things about the single player.
Yeah, it's paced really well. There's a lot of mechanics in there that are a lot of fun. I didn't play multiplayer because, again, I only rented it for a day. I wanted to save a little extra money for like Youmacon and stuff. So a single $3 day rental was a good idea. Which is funny because I beat the single player within a single day. It is not a long single player.
Well, that's kind
and
of.
And I should also mention that it is an easy game, single player wise as well. I played on the hardest difficulty and had next to no trouble. Like, it is so doable. And I think the devs even said themselves, yeah, this is not the hardest game. So they know. But difficulty aside, the things that happen during the single player are a lot of fun and are done really well, which is why, like, if they ever do like a third Titanfall or something, or another game, well, they're technically also doing a Star Wars thing, but that's something completely different. But if they do like another Titanfall thing, they should do yet again another single player to like expand on more stuff. Because I don't know if I want to spoil some like certain level mechanics, because there were some that are just extremely fun. Do you want me to go into spoilers? Do you guys care?
No.
Okay, for podcast listeners, we'll just put in a little spoiler warning, I guess. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so there's one level where you time travel.
Okay, that I did hear of. So I don't know if it's that big of a spoiler.
So it's Escape from Titanfall Island?
No. This is time travel done well because you can do it any time. You just flip between like time periods, but you're like in the same spot. So you're like in modern time, this area is like all torn down and shit, like all ruined, on fire and stuff. Then you go back in time and it's like all there, and you've got like soldiers there, like doing whatever experiments and whatever, and you keep flipping back and forth, and you go like I think it was in present day. There's like some things where you hear like there's this fucking guy that just keeps popping in out of nowhere. We can't do anything to stop him. And you realize, oh shit, that's me just going back between dimensions and just killing people. It's not just combat. There's also traversal applied to this mechanic. Like, for example, there's like wall running in Titanfall. So like, depending on which plane of existence you're on, as I'm just gonna call it, like the wall will be on different sides. So you have to like switch back and forth or else you fall to your death. Or my favorite one, you fall down this pipe that flips between flaming floor or spinning fan that will cut you up, and it just goes faster and faster, so you're switching back and forth so quickly, and I'm like, holy shit, how did I not die on my first try on that? That was a really awesome part. I should also mention that well, of course you get your Titan. He's your Iron Giant companion through the whole game.
Is he voiced by Vin Diesel?
I don't know who voices him, honestly, but of course you could like go like pilot him whenever like it's applicable. Most of the time, if you're in a Titan, you're probably gonna want to stay in it, but there are times where you have to get out and obviously like do other stuff. I think the reason why the game was pretty easy overall is there is quite a bit of downtime where you're not exactly in combat, and it focuses more on traversal and the mechanics applied with that, which I think is really cool. Because while combat is fun, the traversal is also fun. They managed to like make that like work out really well, instead of like, well, you have these like cool traversal mechanics, but watch you never use them in single player. They managed to do a very good job with that. Throughout the game, you'll find like different Titan loadouts, so you can like switch between them. Like they all have like different abilities. Like you get giant sword for the Rodent Titan, or just like a flame based one where you like shoot gas and you have to like ignite it, or just like sniper, blah blah blah, all that stuff. Playing as a Titan is really good. Like you're big and bulky, but you have mobility. You can like dash a couple of times, but it's on a recharge, so you can like dash twice before you have to like have that meter fill back up. And like each Titan usually has like offensive and defensive mechanisms, like vortex shield, you can just grab like bullets and stuff and shoot them back, or just have a pure defensive shield that you can shoot through type of deal. It all depends on like what loadout you have. All those loadouts are available in multiplayer. Actually, there is one loadout, I do also want to spoil this, that is basically the smart gun from Aliens.
Oh.
Yeah, like one of the Titan loadouts, you just get this giant minigun thing, and the special ability is like it'll just lock on to anything, you just shoot it. And it's funny because like in Titanfall 1 there was a gun called the smart pistol, where if you like aim for a little while, it'll lock onto a player and just instantly kill them. But because of Titanfall's like mobility, you had to be like really good at like keeping a track on them for that to happen. So in a way it was balanced, even though it does sound OP. In single player, the last level, you start with that pistol and it is broken because the enemies aren't as mobile as you, and it locks on instantly. So the entire finale, like first part of the finale, is basically you playing as McCree from Overwatch. Fun fact, same voice actor as McCree is the guy you're playing as through the whole game. So you just get the smart pistol, you're just locking onto everyone, high nooning everyone over and over. And I'm just like every counter, high noon, oh there's the high noon, over and over. if I made a video, it would just be like 20 high noons per second, I think. Just like overlap the audio until it breaks. But yeah, even though it was like really short, the single player was really good. I guess I could end spoilers here. So end of spoilers, final thoughts. The single player was surprisingly good as a whole, even though it's like not the most difficult game, which is a knock against it. Like crank it up to highest difficulty really isn't that hard, but the mechanics and gameplay are done so well that I want to see more.
At least it's not Aliens Clone Marines where you crank it up to the highest difficulty and it's like but it's not a challenge because the game's broken to begin with. So
oh, but you can't see your HP. Doesn't matter.
Oh, you don't have a UI like you do.
Yeah. Whoa. Wow.
But
There is one last quick game I do want to mention. SCR, you can jump in any time for this. When I was over at SCR's place after Youmacon, I wanted to play a bit of Battle Clash, the SNES Super Scope game, because I don't think I ever played a Super Scope game, especially when I was a kid. I don't even think we owned a Super Scope, just a Zapper or the Genesis version of the Super Scope.
I never played a Super Scope game either.
Yeah, so this was a first for me, and I was interested in Battle Clash because, well, aside from being a Super Scope game, SCR is speedrunning the game. So I could just like in my head I was just imagining him like going like, you could be faster than this, come on! You're doing so many things wrong.
I was biting my tongue behind you, trying not to backseat game the entire time.
Dude, I could feel that. I know. But you gotta give me credit somewhere. I didn't die the entire playthrough.
Mm-hmm.
How would you grade my casual Battle Clash performance? Ignore speedrunning, because you would just fucking ram my asshole on the wall.
Is that a new saying we're going with now?
No, it's not.
Solid B.
But a solid B. Yeah, I would agree. Because, like, should we explain how Battle Clash works?
Probably.
You do it. You speedrun the game. You know the mechanics way better than me.
So Battle Clash is, there are these things in this game called standing tanks, which are basically just giant robots piloted by people. And you play the role of the gunner of a standing tank, which is kind of odd because usually they're just designed for one person, but you're the gunner and this other guy, Anderson, is the pilot of it. So all side-to-side movement happens automatically, and you're just charged with shooting at your opponent. Now the opponents will move around a lot. They have their own certain attacks that they'll go through over the course of the battle, and they get more and more complex as you go up. And the way that you win in Battle Clash is, well, obviously you shoot your opponent, but there's two different types of fire: machine gun fire and charged shots. Machine gun fire is exactly what it sounds like. It doesn't do a whole lot of damage, and it's mainly just there to shoot down light projectiles that your opponent shoots at you. Charge shots involve this bar at the bottom of the screen, and when you let it fill completely, you'll do a powerful laser shot at your opponent, which is your main method of attack you're going to use the entire time. What's kind of unique about Battle Clash is it's not just shooting wherever on your opponent. Some of them have shields, some of them have incredibly hard armor to try and pierce through, some of them have very particular weak points that aren't always opened up. So you have to figure out where those points are and either destroy the weak points or, and this is something I love to do at a couple of fights, just take off all the limbs on the opponent, take off all the guns on their backs, and just leave them as a torso, just like writhing around on the ground, and then you finally destroy them. I think that's a sufficient explanation. Now, go ahead.
Yeah, even though it's like not the longest game, like at all, I really enjoyed it, and I think that was because SCR's calibration was spot on. I'd say, like, I didn't have any problem. The only problem I had was a me problem, where since I wear glasses, I try to, like, you know, kind of like look through the scope and my field of view wasn't that great. It allowed me to shoot just fine. It hit where I was looking just fine, but like trying to see everything else around me was kind of hard. And if I took my glasses off, it probably wouldn't have helped with the distance from the TV.
You know, I was going to ask when you were playing it, why are you keeping your head so far away from the scope?
I didn't want, the glasses to like collide with that. That would probably mess me up more. Like
because I usually play with my glasses right up against the scope.
Okay, like I wasn't really sure, and it's just dumb. I also don't want to like scratch my glasses that much. I probably could have tried it without them on. I'm not blind without my glasses, but Battle Clash was cool. I did a no death playthrough. I won't be speed running it because I'm bad. But
I also had no idea what was going on.
I was playing Titanfall, right? That was the game?
I didn't play the game frame perfect, therefore I'm bad.
Oh, fuck me. There was one other game I finished recently, but I don't want to talk about it. Because it's not the most remarkable thing. I beat John Woo's Stranglehold. The game Zero got me. Very quickly, I want to mention that this game's alright, but it's not remarkable. It shows its age in terms of graphics. Like, this is the most Unreal Engine game you could probably see.
Circa, like, 2007?
Yes, like, there was a cutscene where if I recorded it, I could freeze frame the part where you could see, like, dev textures. Like, character models being green and purple. Like, you see it for a split second, and I'm like, what the fuck? How did that get past testing? Inconsistent frame rate all over the place, but it wasn't unplayable. It's basically just like a bullet time shooter through the whole thing, because that's what John Woo stuff does. And the game is a sequel to the movie Hard Boiled, I believe. So I had no connection to that movie or anything, so I had no idea what the fuck. I'm just guessing, oh, there's bad guys, better kill them and save these girls, I guess. But the game was alright. Like, it was fun, but it wasn't remarkable. It's not that long. I will say one thing that threw me off is when you got to the credits, the credits music is the most compressed sounding music I have heard on PlayStation 3. Like, the sound quality was so bad.
What, did they run out of space and they're like, oh shit, we need to put in credits music?
But the other thing that threw me off in the credits, aside from it being like not a great song, God, you'd have to hear it yourself. It's not great. And it's like music by Serge. How do you say his last name? The lead singer of System of a Down.
Serge Tankian?
Yeah, apparently he did music, and I'm like, what? How? Did he make this overly compressed credits song? Did he do music for the whole game? Like, I had to double check, and apparently he did do it. That's so weird. But that Stranglehold, I'm gonna link if I could find it, the credits music. I'll link it in Skype for like later. Sorry, podcast listeners, go look it up yourself. Stranglehold credits music.
So in other words, the best game that Zero's given you so far.
Oh, bar none. Bar none. It was enough to make me finish the game. Now I'm done. I'm pretty sure I got nothing else.
Alright, well, I'll go last, and this will segue into our discussion topic. Because I'm going to talk about an arcade game called Fighting Mania. This is something that I saw at Youmacon. And the full name of it is Fighting Mania Fist of the North Star. It is an arcade boxing game based on Fist of the North Star. Like, I'm not even a Fist of the North Star fan, and just hearing that, I'm thinking, yeah, I want one of those in my home.
Yeah, because even if you know anything about Fist of the North Star and you hear that, it's like, okay, now you got me interested.
So what it is you have these like two, they're not really gloves, they're just like guards that you put over your hands. And there's a screen in front of you, and in front of the screen, there are two columns, one on either side, of punch pads. And as the game goes on, you'll face like a bunch of different people from Fist of the North Star, like Zed. But anyway, you'll go through these things, and it was kind of hard to keep track of what was happening story-wise in the game because everything was in Korean.
Oh, it wasn't Japanese, it was Korean?
Yeah, like all the text and stuff was in Korean, but the dialogue was in English.
Oh, okay.
And there were occasionally like English subtitles for the names of moves, but anyway. So as you face these people, these pads will swing out and light up. And you have to hit them when they light up in order to either block the attack that they're doing or block and counterattack what they're doing. If your timing's off, you'll just block it, or if your timing's really off, you'll fail to block it and take more damage. Basically what you do throughout these fights is you just deflect or absorb punishment from whoever you're facing until you build up this meter in order to unleash one of Kenshiro's attacks. And when that happens, all the pads light up and start swinging out at you at once, and you have to do this punch rush where you have to do like 50 or 60 or 70 punches just in rapid succession.
But basically just do what he does in the anime, just punch like crazy.
Yeah, Blondy actually took video of this for his Youmacon video.
Yeah, a little bit. It is there. If you want to see Scott or CSCR do that.
But it's really fun, and it sounds really simple, and at first it is. But then it starts doing things like you'll face an opponent who you have to punch 2 pads simultaneously. The pads will swing out, but some won't light up, and if you do hit them, that counts against you. There are times where you have to hit pads in a specific order in order to pull off an attack or block an attack. Long story short, if I ever get enough money, I'm buying one of these. I mean, it's not just a great workout, but even as someone who's not that into Fist of the North Star, it's incredibly fun to play. It's exhausting, but it's incredibly fun to play.
Yeah, and that was just one of the many arcade machines that was there at Youmacon in the game room.
You know, we might as well just transition to our discussion topic, which was Youmacon.
Yeah, that's what we went to a couple weeks ago.
So I need to ask you something in particular, Blondy. We got to the hotel around like Thursday afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
And I told you I was bringing my Wii.
Yes.
And I did.
You did.
But at first, we pulled out this other thing.
Yeah.
When we showed that, how confident were you that I actually did bring the Wii?
I still assumed you did. What threw me off is that you brought out this box of this thing that kind of resembled the Wii, but it wasn't. And at first I thought, oh, you just put your Wii into that box as a joke. But then it turns out that you actually did bring the thing that was in the box, along with, like as well. Like you did bring your Wii for just for us to play games in the room. But then you surprised me by bringing this thing.
For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, again, you can check Blondy's video, or...
Yeah, it's there in my video. As a little preview of sorts, I guess, to what you guys are going to do with this thing.
Or you can stick around the RCG channel for Christmas when the inevitable plug-and-play episode goes up.
Well, I did know... I did briefly show it in my Youmacon video, but just for the sake of podcast, we'll talk about it here. There were some arcade games and some setup of games that I was quite surprised to see. One of which was actually a cabinet of Ninja Baseball Batman, which I didn't think I would see an actual cabinet of, and lo and behold, there was one at Youmacon.
Great job, World 9 Games and Tokyo Attack, because the game room was pretty fantastic.
Yeah. There was also another arcade cabinet of a game that I was pleasantly surprised to see was Battletoads, like the actual arcade game, and the three of us actually did play through that.
I do want to mention, the game room was really good, but it wasn't perfect. There were a few missteps,
like the Rock Band setup.
Oh my god, that was bad.
Yeah, okay.
No, I have to. Aside from me really liking Rock Band, this was kind of a baffling decision. I don't know what happened. So they do have Rock Band 4, but they put it right next to a real piano that anyone could just walk up to and play.
And people did.
And people did. Granted, every person I heard play the piano, like, was actually pretty good. Like, none of them, like, none of the people I heard that went on it while I was over there was bad at all. They knew how to play piano. But the thing is, the piano was louder than the fucking game, and it was right next to it. So not only could you barely hear the game, it just made it so much harder. That and something was fucked up with the game or the PS4, where the only things people were able to play was one guitar and one drum set. No one went on the microphone, and the second guitar just would not fucking be recognized. So yeah, that was pretty bad. I think that alone turned people off from wanting to play it. Like, it didn't stop me. I wanted to get my fill, but holy shit. I'm just in my cosplay, just in my head going, what the fuck am I doing? Why is the setup so bad? Why is there a Piano Man next to me? Why is there no DLC to play the song Piano Man while Piano Man's next to me? How come the microphone doesn't work? Why is there only one guitar? That was not good.
Well, that aside,
I feel like they just threw it in there just because okay, fine, didn't really care. Also, I'm starting to this is probably not true, but I would laugh if the World 9 Gaming actually brought the real piano and put it there. But I'm no, that had to be be a mainstay at that room.
Piano Mania.
That just kind of sucked, but there were a lot of arcade machines, like you guys mentioned, and a lot of console gaming too. So much that we couldn't really do much. I didn't even get to play any of the retro stuff. I couldn't, they had a CDI, and I'm just I don't want to play that. But the option was there, which is crazy. They had CDI, they had Saturn, stuff that you
PC
don't really
engine.
get.
yeah, on pretty much every console you can imagine.
Yeah, you could go up to a computer near their desk and look through the list of what games they have and say, yo, I want to rent that out. It works. It's the same guys that did the game room in Anime North, where if you want to play a game and take it out that isn't a mandate already on the system type of thing, Overwatch and all that stuff, you'd have to give them your ID. I didn't do that because I didn't really want to play anything, but unlike Anime North, there were like you guys said, a bunch of arcade machines, and I played a little bit of Ninja Baseball Batman.
Me and SCR did as well.
Yeah, but all three of us played the whole way through Battletoads.
Yeah.
That game's a quarter eater, and Rare admitted it.
Well, a lot of arcade games are like that. So.
Yeah, but Rare fucking admitted it in their Rare Replay interview about it. It's okay, this guy just takes no damage for the first minute. They're holy shit, it's true.
But it was still fun.
It was. I just don't understand why the health bar in Battletoads makes no sense. It's you die in 3 hits, but you get 1 pip of health with each fly.
Again, it's
just what's the point of having a quarter?
It's designed you just die a lot and keep putting in quarters. But thankfully, thanks to these conventions, we can just play from free play. So. Except
the pachinko machines, you actually had to pay money for that.
Well, yeah, there were pachinko machines there, which I haven't seen before. So that was actually neat to at least see.
I got to play a pachinko machine at my now closed down trade-in store. They had a pachinko machine. I'm what's this doing here? What the fuck? Just a pachinko machine for sale? Balls flying everywhere.
There's also a full line of one of the more recent Initial D machines, and that's where Tiger Ichimaru spent half of the convention.
Well, yeah.
And that one had 2-player, gachapon, where I raced against Paige, quote unquote, because we couldn't really connect together.
You have to time it so that you're both going in and accepting challengers at the same time.
Yeah, that's usually how those racing cabinets work.
Yeah. There were a bunch of other arcade machines that we couldn't even get to. They had Death Master, or I think it's in the same franchise because it was the same gameplay where it's motion, you're just in front of it and just following the motions. if any of you guys saw the Konami 2010 E3 press conference of Dance Masters, that was kind of the same game we saw there. And I'm like the guy I saw playing was really good at it.
He was certainly moving his body freely.
He was moving his body freely, and he is the Dance Master. Hell, there were a bunch of other games that we obviously just could not get to. Whether they be occupied or it's just like, there's too much. What the fuck do we do?
Well, I did play a bit of Uncharted 4 because it is one of the games for PlayStation 4 I do want to get. Whenever I do
played
get
a little bit of I played a little bit of Gears of War 4, and the last person who used it had their aiming sensitivity so fucking high that it was impossible to play. And I'm like, how do you aim like this? This isn't a mouse and keyboard. What are you doing? And I couldn't really hear what was going on in the game. Like, a lot of the volume in the game was like lowered because the whole fucking game room was loud. You can't really do anything about that. But like,
yeah.
But after like 5 minutes, I'm like, okay, I don't want to play anymore. I was not feeling it. I'm not basing my opinion on the game based off that experience, but I'm just like, I don't feel like playing this.
Well, you're literally like jumping in and like a point in the game where it's like, I don't know. I mean, with Uncharted 4,
yeah,
I
with like where I had to like go back in the controls and go, it's like, oh, all these aiming options, I can't do this, man. Fuck.
Well, with Uncharted 4, I was able to just start a new game. I just played like a little bit of that just to kind of get a feel for what the game's going to be. So
I did like the first few minutes of Call of Duty Infinite Warfare because during the con, the game came out. On the Thursday, if you were in the game room, it was just like, oh, they're just playing like whatever. Then next day, you just see Infinite Warfare and Modern Warfare Remastered. I played a bit of the Infinite Warfare single player, and then it's like, oh, we're closing, you gotta get off. At least I was able to play a bit of it on like Halo 5 at Anime North, where I couldn't even fucking play 1 minute before getting kicked off. Ugh. I did get to play Halo 2 Anniversary a bit, though. It was Halo 2, so I played a bit. It's like, oh, this is familiar, I'm done. I could have tried the multiplayer, but I'm like, I don't even know if the multiplayer works still. So why would I want to?
Well, if it's in the game room, it'd be like local, wouldn't it? Or at least local area connection.
I think a lot of machines had the ability to go online because Titanfall and Call of Duty, like those were just connected online. It doesn't help that literally every machine has a gamer tag of DSP, insert name here, so I'm just like, I don't know if I want to play online as this. And it's funny, they had Titanfall 2 there, and I just replayed the single player, and I did that fucking training course thing again, where you had to like get a super good time, and I'm like, oh, I'll just do that annoying ass thing here, and I did it faster than I did on PS4, and I did it for a convention Xbox. I'm like, well, okay, whoever has this console will just see, well, this guy fucking did that. What a loser. Okay, pack it up. I'm trying to think what else, if I played anything else in the game room or what else I saw.
I think the only thing console-wise I played in the game room was there was a setup. I can't remember if it was a TurboGrafx setup, but it was for a game that was recently kickstarted called Henshin Engine.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I did not hear about this.
Yeah, I have a brief video clip about that game, but yeah, it's basically like a brand new PC Engine game essentially.
It's
Kind of like how
after,
people are still making Dreamcast games.
It's
Yeah.
styled after like old 16-bit platformers and side-scrollers. There's a huge Hudson Soft influence on the game because a bunch of the backgrounds are similar to like Adventure Island, the enemies too. There is in fact just a bee that attacks you. But it was successful on Kickstarter, and as far as I recall, it's going to have a digital release and a physical release for TurboGrafx CD and Dreamcast.
I'll have to consider it maybe.
Well, I will mention one other thing game-wise, and this mainly pertained to me and Tiger Ichimaru, because we were both playing Pokemon Go for most of the convention.
As
And,
most people did.
There were a bunch of Pokestops all over Detroit. Like when we were on the People Mover, we could just hit a bunch of Pokestops in one go when the game's GPS wasn't screwing me over. when we get to the Renaissance Center, one of the main places where the convention was held, there were Pokestops that seemed to be like arranged in a circle around the food court, and then there was one right in the middle. So there were times where we would be just like eating lunch or dinner in the food court, and Takeru Chamaro and I would have the games out, and there would be lures down on every single one of those points and the point in the middle. And that must have screwed with the game something fierce. Because we would get out our phones, we would launch Pokemon Go, and then instantly like 14 Pokemon would spawn at once. And I think it must have opened like a black hole in the data or something of the game, because we were seeing things that we'd never seen before. Machops started spawning, Dratinis were spawning, like Almanites were spawning. I'd never seen those on the tracker, much less seen one like in the wild, and caught it.
Yeah, you two pretty much spent half the convention playing Pokemon Go because of that.
Stuff wouldn't stop spawning. The lures were out like the entire convention.
It's the new Street Pass.
Just kept popping up around them. I wound up catching like at least 3 dozen Voltorbs, I think, in just one day. Magnemites too, those were spawning a lot.
Can we talk about hotel game shenanigans that aren't the bad Wii knockoff? Because we did play some things at our hotel. Like, me and Blondy played the multiplayer for Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon.
Yeah, that was I believe our first time ever playing that multiplayer, and it was fun for a while.
I think that was yours. I've played the online multiplayer before.
Oh, okay. Well,
but it had been a long while since I played Dark Moon, so I'm like, oh god, what do I do?
You Ouija all over the place. I don't know.
Hey!
Help.
Eddie, hey! Oh yeah. Oh, we also played Time Splitters Future Perfect.
Well, yeah,
It
because
was a brick game.
Yeah, you throw bricks. You throw brown bricks all over.
yeah, one of the weapons you have in that game, or the series really, is just throwing bricks. So.
And then there was also F-Zero.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Our good old staple, I guess.
Where I started winning as soon as I picked Captain Falcon, or just Blondie went tilt or something due to fatigue or something. I don't know what happened. F-Zero's a fucking weird game, but it's great. Yeah, that's a good thing to say.
Well said.
We also played Wave Race, which wasn't a great.
I did
Let's
okay.
say Tiger Uchimaru just kind of gave up immediately.
She gives up on anything that doesn't control like Gran Turismo or Initial
Or
D.
Blast Chamber. But then again, we kind of just... Blast Chamber was a weird.
It is a bit.
My first time playing it, it was just like... It has that PlayStation stiffness to it, but it's also fucking, like, stupid, but I don't mean that in a negative way.
Well, it didn't help that I just spent every match just hitting the arrows.
Just taking
with
the
level.
fucking walls?
Yeah, making us all fall because of that. But that game's always fun just for 4-player shenanigans, so...
Yeah, I guess so. I guess I was there for blah.
Blah.
Yeah. What do you mean? What just happened? That was us after the con. Just
we're just us now, right now, really.
was there any other? Fuck.
The VR.
Yeah, this wasn't in the game room, but just in the dealer's room. There was one vendor that just had like free opportunity to play PlayStation VR. You just had to like sign up.
It was behind like one of the convention booths, I believe. Like one of the other...
this was in the dealer's room.
Yeah, but it was in the area where it's like where they were like advertising other conventions. So, but yeah, me and Unreal tried out the PlayStation VR.
I got to play two things. I played Kitchen, which was the RE7 VR demo before it was revealed that was part of RE7 or something. That was cool. You're just like bound to a chair. You're just like looking around, and like you're just holding the regular PS4 controller, and you just like look at it. And it's like, oh, my hands are bound, so I'm just like fucking around with it, and the game is glitching. I think it's also because of like where the camera was placed. looking around like was really cool. I like looked all over my shoulder. It was just like, oh, they actually modeled it back there. That's cool. But most of the time you're just sitting there watching what happens. The only thing you really do to like do anything is like use your like tied up hands to like knock the camera over to wake the guy up or something, and then just like hold it up to the guy trying to cut you free. And then the rest is just like, oh, spooky girl. I remember hearing like Angry Joe like play this demo, and he like what he did was like, you know, like lunge forward like a bah thing towards like the lady, and when he played it, the lady reacted to that, and it fucking scared Joe because he wasn't expecting it. It's like, oh god. I was able to play another game outside of that because I was just really short, but I was just like, dude, I just want to play Kitchen. I do want to play that. And then the other thing I played was the London Heist, which was a segment of this PlayStation VR World thing. And you're just like at this desk, you got 2 Move controllers, you're like digging through like drawers and stuff, like looking for shit, and also kind of like bending down to hide from like guards like searching like the room with their flashlight and stuff. Unfortunately, we couldn't stand up during this thing. We were kind of forced to sit down, and I think that wasn't a great thing for the London Heist because I noticed things were just starting to bug out because I was always sitting. I was able to get through it, but even then, like, it wasn't perfect. Like trying to research things, I noticed like some of my like hands were like messing up while like I'm trying to like aim my flashlight to like look at stuff and read the paper. Also doesn't help that it was kind of blurry for me. Even though PlayStation VR is like you could totally keep your glasses on, it wasn't helping. Like I tried, it just really wouldn't like set in for me. Maybe if I like had more time to fiddle with it, I'd probably find that happy medium to make it look clear enough. But the whole time it was a little blurry. So when I was able to finally read the code, you get the Chaos Emerald from the safe after punching it in, and then a shootout happens. And I know it was glitchy because, Blondy, I think you might have seen on the TV screen, like my gun was just like wiggling, like it wasn't like aiming straight. Did you notice that?
Not initially.
Okay, because like I just like try to like get shots while my gun's wiggling, and I was just like, oh, that's kind of annoying. Probably something with the PlayStation camera or whatnot, or maybe the environment as well. However, reloading felt cool, where you just like grab a clip and just put it into like the other hand. That felt cool. I like that. But for being first time VR, that was cool. I don't see myself dropping 400 for PlayStation VR.
Well, yeah, it is an expensive thing, so.
Yeah, like, it might be a cool novelty to have, but like, by the time, like theoretically, by the time it lowers in price to where, like, I'll buy it, VR will probably die off. Maybe. We don't know how it's going to be in the future. And since one of my friends does own PlayStation VR, I may have more opportunities to mess with it. I did mention that before on a podcast, but I'm just reinforcing it here, especially since me and Blondy actually got to try it.
Yeah, for the first time.
So what did you play?
Okay, so after Unreal played those, I was up next, and I ended up playing the demo for the PlayStation VR version of Rez, which is Rez Infinite, I believe.
Yes.
Now,
the one game I'm really interested in for VR.
Well, same here, actually. That's why I tried out the demo while we were there at Youmacon.
I probably should have tried Rez. Can we mention, like, what the guy was like? The guy was trying to, like, not make you play Rez.
I know, because he was like, dude, I have had people get motion sickness or whatever playing it. And I'm just like, I still want to try it. I mean, I don't really get that. Not really that subjective.
If I barf, I'll clean it up. How about that?
I'm not really that subjective to motion sickness anyway. So, but regardless, so being a fan of Rez, or at least, Rez HD on the Xbox Live Arcade, I wanted to try this. And now this was just the demo version, which was like the first bit of like the first stage, and then it like transitions into like the stage 4 boss. What makes this version work really well with VR is that in order to play, you can use a controller to play it, and you still have to hold X to lock on to targets and then release to fire at them. but your aiming can be done by just simply looking around with the VR headset on, and that makes it very. That pretty much makes it very. It clicks in on how well it works, because once you do that, it's just like, okay, this is how you play the game now, kind of thing.
It's very intuitive.
Yes, it's very intuitive. It's pretty much just like it's like aiming in first person with a mouse kind of thing. It's just like once it's there, it's like it's just that. And I really liked how it handled it, in that you just move your head all around and just to aim at everything. It works, and it works great that way. Now, when it came to the boss, I did have some slight disorientation, because during that boss, the boss basically takes a shape of a guy running, and he'll like start running through these different winding corridors, and the corridors are like twisting and turning all around, and that I did feel a little bit disoriented, like not to the point where I was getting motion sickness, but the point where I'm just like, oh whoa, this is trippy, kind of like try and keep your aim at him while the game's like kind of twisting around and going through these different corridors and such. There was also a point where the boss is behind you, and I didn't know this really about the PlayStation VR, but you actually do have the ability to look over your shoulder to aim at him. I didn't know that at first, so I was a little bit confused as to like why I kept getting hit. Fortunately, you can't die in the demo, but even then I was just like, well, what's going on? Where is he? But then I realized when I looked over my shoulder, it's like, oh, there he is. So, and unfortunately when that happened, my aiming was off-centered. Now, I believe there's a way to like recenter your aim, but I didn't know how to at the time. So my aiming was a little off-kilter, and I had to like look up more to aim properly for like the last bit of the demo. But as my first VR experience with the PlayStation 1, I'd say it was pretty cool. Like, I liked how free-flowing the looking around and aiming in that was. Like Unreal said, it's not something I'm gonna drop $400 for right away. I don't even have a PlayStation 4 yet, let alone get a VR thing for it. But this version of Rez, I feel, is the definite version to get nowadays if you're ever gonna play Rez, because just looking around and aiming is like, it gets you in the zone.
Well, I guess we could mention cosplay-wise what we did.
I suppose. I mean, I only cosplayed on the Saturday, I think it was. I was just Elder Wesker. That's just my usual cosplay I do, or my go-to cosplay, really.
Yeah, Saturday Tiger Chamara was Jill, and then Unreal, you were Barry, and you just all went as a group.
Yep.
Yeah, we usually do like a Resident Evil group thing at con, so
I haven't found many photos. Like, we did get our photos taken. I only found the one that Al took.
Yeah, we still got a few taken from people, or quite a few.
Yeah, like the cool thing is, like, yeah, you get your photo taken a bunch, and it's like, where the fuck do you find them?
Well, not everyone posts them online.
That's just like,
not...
you kind of want to see it, but it's like, fuck, man.
Then you have to go through like all the different other Youmacon photos that are probably posted, so it's like sometimes it's a crapshoot.
Now, while you guys were doing that on Saturday, I was walking around as Ric Flair.
Many woos were had.
Oh, many woos. And apparently I lucked out, because I caught up with Russell and his friends, who were still in their wrestling cosplays. So we were able to take like a couple group photos.
Mm-hmm.
Including one guy who was dressed as Sting, that was perfect, because Ric Flair and Sting had this long-standing rivalry since 1988. And it went all the way through their WCW days, and they even did a couple of things in TNA briefly. Other than that, I think all I did was Friday when Takeru Chamaro and I were Beat and Gum from Jet Set Radio.
That's always a good cosplay that you two do.
Yeah, it's also a pain in the ass because we're walking around in those rollerblade boots. And then we just accidentally ran into another Beat cosplayer, so that was 3 Jet Set Radio cosplayers for the entire con. Although apparently somebody linked that image to Hideki Naganuma, And in the words of the person who posted that photo, Senpai noticed us.
Yeah, that was the composer, right? For the Jet Set Radio
one of the
games?
main composers for the first game and Jet Set Radio Future.
Yeah.
Oh man, should I mention my cosplay stuff?
Up to you.
If you want.
Oh boy! Because oh man. So I had 2 new cosplays outside of Barry. So on Friday I went as Mordecai from Regular Show. If you don't know who or what that is, look it up.
It's a cartoon.
Yeah, it's a cartoon. I'm just going like it's like a full suit thing, like a full like headpiece that God looks. The headpiece looks so stupid, but it's great. And I'll just say like from the Friday, it was successful because like people like calling me out and just going whoa and stuff. Like anytime anyone was doing that in my presence, I would whoa back at them. I did get a couple of photos. I was able to find one photo that was posted online, but I did get more taken of me with that, as well as like it goes like, oh, it's Mordecai, yo. There was also a video shot of me, but I looked it up. I did not make the cut for the video, unfortunately, but the same guy got the photo like posted on like Facebook, so I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Like even though I am sad I didn't make it into that said cosplay video, I'm just like, 1, I'll take the photo. Number 2, you read my mind and somehow made a Baten Kaido's cosplayer show up. Like, how the fuck did I not see one when, like, in my brain during Youmacon, I'm just like, what would be cool? A Baten Kaido's cosplayer. And then it's like, pops up. I didn't get to see it in person, but when I was skimming through that video, it's like, is that a Baten Kaido? I can't fucking believe it.
Well, I think I do recall seeing that cosplayer there, but it didn't click to my mind immediately because it was one of like it was a main character, but it was like
it's one of the late like party members.
Yeah, that joined you.
The Great Mizuki.
So,
I didn't even get that far in the game, but like I looked up like oh my god, it is. That would have been awesome. To see that cosplay in person. I'm like, oh, I'm definitely getting a photo of this. But yeah, the Friday was definitely fun as Mordecai. That's a keeper. Just getting the reaction from like con-goers, like knowing who I am and stuff. I haven't felt that good since my Barry Burton debut, basically. Where it's like, first time going as Barry, it's like, yo, it's Barry, like, yo, what's up? All that stuff.
Yeah, that's the joy of cosplaying, so.
Oh, but that's not it. I had another Regular Show cosplay. This time it was Rigby. Look it up if you don't know.
Basically, it was like the raccoon guy.
Yeah, they're
and
both
Mordecai,
of them are best. Like both of them are like best friends. And stuff.
Yeah, and Mordecai is like the tall blue jay guy.
Yeah,
so even if you haven't seen this show, you might have seen.
You've
them
probably seen them.
in, like,
so
wherever.
the latter half of Saturday, like after Barry, I went into like Rigby cosplay and pretty much got the same reaction from people as I did with Mordecai. Although technically I was Rigby longer because the latter half of Saturday and the rest of Sunday I was Rigby. I will say being Rigby got me 2 hugs. Like it's like, oh, photo and then a hug, and I'm like, oh shit, that's great. Should also note that on Sunday at the food court there was just another Rigby. It's like, dude, get over here. I'm gonna have my mask on. We gotta get a photo together, and we did. It was great. Both Regular Show cosplays are gonna be a mainstay at cons for me. Hopefully it doesn't continue fucking over my luggage because it's not the best thing to package, like in terms of space, but it's definitely doable. The only way I'll retire the cosplay is if I just grow out of it. Like I don't fit in it anymore, but they still fit fine. Best money I spent on last minute costumes. I'm like, I won't get these. The Halloween stores open up before Halloween. They're on clearance. I'm gonna buy both of these. Best decision I made my Youmacon way more fun than it already was. Oh, and I got one of the Vinesauce streamers to take a pic of me as well. Like, I just kind of ran into him. GPM. I went to his panel on Thursday, where it was like free to the public and stuff. But like rest of the cons, like I ran into him Sunday in the duos room randomly. I was in my Rigby costume. It's like, dude, can I just get a photo? One of the guys in my Discord group likes the regular show, and I'm just gonna send it to him. So he had me flex. I do have that photo on Twitter. I did retweet it, so like you'll be able to see that one if you want to look at it. So yeah, our cosplays went well. That was good. Nothing broke, I don't think. Well, except Ric Flair's like gold glitter falling off everywhere.
That was bound to happen, though.
Yeah, at least you know where he's been. Just follow the trail of gold dust.
There isn't gold dust in another wrestler.
Yeah, it is a gold dust
Yeah.
wrestler. Yeah.
Oh, whatever.
I don't think I have anything else to add cosplay wise, other than like we all got photos in. Well, I guess I was the only one that got hugged. I'm not sure, but whatever.
I got a selfie with someone as Wesker.
I had a couple of people do that as well, and one of those, I think one of those said selfie ones actually hugged me too. Fuck, I can't remember.
Somebody did that with me as Ric Flair, too.
Oh, I'm just trying to think. I know I got selfies as Rigby. I might have gotten selfies as Mordecai, not as Barry, because like with Barry, it's like it was pretty much with the whole Resident Evil group, which is fine. Can we mention one last thing? Shadow Clan.
Really? You're gonna bring him up?
Hey, he apparently vanished until the year I came back.
Isn't that just more of just our own thing, really? Do we have to say it on the podcast?
Well, whatever. It is something to bring up because I was like under my Rigby blast, nearly laughing my ass off at like I can't believe he came back.
So Shadow Clan is this guy who sells CDs outside of the convention grounds. Like in the space where you walk between the Rensen and Kobo Hall. And his CDs are, interesting.
Can we at least say something about the third CD?
What, that he's coherent on it?
Yeah, like we can actually understand what he's like saying in this one.
So he has improved.
It's like you saw him a second time the year after like the Youmacon I went to initially, because this was my second Youmacon. My first one was in 2011. So like after that second appearance, he didn't show up. Here comes Unreal back to Youmacon. Shadow Clan reveals himself, and we just happen to run into him.
This was on the last day.
I thought I was dreaming.
And it was like he was like
I literally thought I was like dreaming, and I'm like, is this happening? The year I come back, Shadow Clan just fucking runs into him.
Technically, he wasn't even in the convention center or any of the buildings. It was, he was like in between them.
The first time we ran into
outside.
him, he was inside the Ren Center. The first time we ran into him, I think I even remember the exact spot where he was in the Ren Center that one year. But no, he was like outside this time, and in the like after Youmacon, I looked back at like apparently GPM did a Youmacon story stream. I was just like skimming through like whatever, and he mentioned like there was this guy selling bootleg like Star Trek DVDs, and I knew exactly who he was talking about because Shadow Clan always mentions, you like Star Trek and stuff, and it's like I kind of wanted to tell GPM, dude, no, he was not selling bootleg DVDs. That was his mixtape. It's like, how do you know this? We know because we have like 3 of them.
At this rate, we're his best customers. Or you guys are his best customers.
Oh, and by the way,
I actually wonder if anyone else has like, gotten his like mixtapes or whatever.
Maybe. I don't know.
by the way, even though Unreal, you were asleep a lot, and Tiger Uchimaru had her headphones on the entire time, I played the Shadow Clan CD the entire way back.
Oh, I was aware, even though I was asleep. I was just like, sometimes waking up and I just see track 3, go to sleep, track 4, sleep, track 3, and I'm like, you're looping this, aren't you? Like, I could just tell, because I would sometimes wake up and hear Celestial bullshit, or whatever that one thing was.
By the way, listeners, don't be surprised if one of those songs shows up in one of my videos.
I'm not editing this, so you
Fucking
can't
hell.
blame this on me.
I think I'll go back to when we start talking about ShadowClan and just crossfade in one of his songs.
Oh my god, don't get
This is what
don't
the
get any
podcast-
idea.
This is what the podcast has been reduced to.
Blondy, anything of note after Youmacon? Because
After.
well, mainly because like in the short time frame between like my flight home and like after coming home from Youmacon, me, Scott, SCR, and Tiger Uchimaru did some other things briefly.
Yeah, but I literally just got home afterwards. I didn't have anything.
All right,
say.
you got nothing to add.
I don't have anything. I literally had nothing to add after going home from Youmacon. At least on my end.
We did a little more like Ohio sightseeing ish. I just went to a mall, got to see like a game store there.
Went to a mall, we visited Gachapon, aka the Weeb Arcade.
Yeah, last time I went at Anime North, we bought those like Monster Hunter like weapon figurines. So I bought like 2 more, and I got a different greatsword. I got like the Sidious greatsword. I'm like, holy shit! And then like I got like one of the bow guns, and I'm like, I don't want this. The owners were really nice enough to like have me swap out one, so I just prayed to the heart of the cards, picked one, and what do I get? What do I get out of this, like, like free extra pick to replace the bowgun? A longsword. I was happy. Like, holy shit. I'm so glad I got that. Like, literally out of like all my weapon collections, the only one I'm not happy with is the hammer still. But fuck it. Replace the bowgun with the longsword. Good shit.
Meanwhile, how much Monster Hunter stuff did you buy at this room, SCR?
Too much?
Or not enough?
Yeah, you definitely bought more Monster Hunter stuff than me, and I like, not counting Gachapon. Youmacon wise, I got like 3 figurines.
I got 4 and that one custom Devil Joe one.
Oh, you find a spot for the custom Devil Joe one yet?
Yeah, he's gonna watch over my Kung Fury stuff.
Okay, I thought, is it still in the bubble wrap? Are you
No, it's
suffocating Devil Joe? But yeah, we also cleared out the final like regular show thing they had at the Gachapon, which was like the $1 vending machines. Even though it said collect all night, it was like also a thing with like Adventure Time. It's like, oh, well, I got all 3. I win. My 4 quarters well spent, I guess. Well, we also went to like Game Store, like just to like look around a bit, at least to kill time before the mall and flight home. And I did get Yakuza 1, a game I already beat because I was able to rent it from GameFly, but now I have the game. By the way, Shadow Snake, if you're listening to this podcast, you can keep your copy of Yakuza. I don't need to buy it off of you anymore.
So that means the only one you're missing is Yakuza 2, right? Which is really expensive.
Oh, yeah. In terms of localized installments, that is the current one I'm missing.
Yeah, basically the Tales of Eternia of Yakuza.
Yeah.
I believe that's it for Youmacon?
Yeah, it was a pretty good year.
I'll just, like, the last thing I'll say, nearly $50 down the drain before Youmacon even started because Toys R Us Power Ranger keys. More money spent than SCR's knockoff Wii purchase. Like,
I could have bought
double
2
that.
of those with your Power Ranger key money.
Yeah, but I got more than, well, no, you had like a billion games, including...
Yeah, but you had better quality product, so...
Yeah, now they're just an army standing on my shelves. Don't think there's anything else.
Well, then I believe that takes us to viewer questions. And we do have one.
Okay.
Horseplay asks, what, in your opinion, are some one-off games that never got a sequel but should have? And these don't have to be good games, but just something you'd like to see more of or better realized. I have one that comes to mind. I did a playthrough of it a while ago for the SNES, but Sky Blazer.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I think I know my answer. Advent Rising.
Well, it was gonna get a sequel,
But
at least
it
was
didn't.
planning.
So I
Yeah.
can count that. Tommy Tallarico recording all those different footstep sounds. Wasted. Oh my god. I did want to see more of it. Advent Rising wasn't super great. I have to replay it.
I do have it.
I'll just say right now, years ago when I rented it, I cheated my way through it. There were cheat codes and shit. But I need to give it a legit playthrough, but I know it's probably going to be like, oh god, this game is not that good. Oh god. But I do want to. I would have liked to see more of it. I'm looking at my collection right now. I know there have been more games where it's like I do kind of want to see follow-ups to.
You know,
Even if they're like not super good games. You know?
Well, yeah, because there's actually one game I just thought of because we talked about it briefly earlier. Blast Chamber. Like, could you imagine a more fleshed out, more modern version of that kind of game?
Bomberman Act Zero. Oh wait.
Yeah. No.
Oh no.
Another one I thought of was Skies of Arcadia because, you know, by itself it is a really good RPG, but you know it never really got a sequel or a franchise out of it. So I think they would have been cool. Well, I mean, technically there was the GameCube release that came afterwards, which had a bit more content and stuff, but I'm talking like an actual sequel to Skies of Arcadia. So I don't know if they'll ever do that, or let alone like do an HD release of that game. That'd be nice, but who knows if Sega will.
I know I'd like to see something else with Mad World.
Yeah, I was looking at that. I was looking at that, and I kind of backed down because I'm just like...
Well, Anarchy Reigns is kind of a sequel.
I'm not counting that.
Yeah, but it has the character in it.
Killer 7.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, never happening. I would have said Evil Within, but there might be a sequel actually happening, but we don't know. Michael Huber swearing that it's coming. I swear, it's coming.
Well, if I'm gonna go into another Dreamcast game, it'll bleed.
I'd have to look at my like Dreamcast / PlayStation collection, but it's buried right now, so I can't really see what else I have outside of like games that do have sequels.
Well, it's not just limited. It's not just limited to PlayStation, Dreamcast in terms of like.
Well, no, I'm like looking on my shelf and I'm just like, what else do I own that could, you know, fall into this category? And a lot of these are like,
this is the part where we all look at our game collections and see.
How about make it Devil's Fourth? No.
Zero Tolerance on the Genesis. I wanted to see more with that because I like the original, but it's kind of jank.
Yeah, I actually did
Hasn't
get it.
Angel Halo talked about that game before?
Yes.
I think he has.
And I actually have a copy of it too. Like it was like a really like the labels torn off it, so
it's
a
not
cheap copy,
not an expensive game, right? I've seen it.
No,
but
No.
I'm just like, I don't know if I want to buy this.
it's basically like an FPS for the Genesis.
Do you
so
think an Alan Wake follow-up would work?
Actually, yeah, I wouldn't mind a sequel because even with like the DLC chapters, it's still kind of, even with the DLC chapters and the downloadable sequel, American Nightmare, I believe it was called, something like that.
Oh well, shit. I guess that doesn't count then.
Well, yeah, but even then, that's only like a semi-sequel. Like I wouldn't mind like an actual full sequel because in terms of its story, it's still kind of like kind of up in the air of like if the main character is. No, I shouldn't really say.
Here's one. How about Dark Watch? Maybe another Dark Watch.
Yeah, I actually did play through that on Xbox.
Yeah.
So, it was a pretty cool game. So
I went back and replayed a bit of Dark Watch, and I'm like, how did I play through this game? Like, it was good, but the field of view, oh my god, how did I play through that game? Like, it seemed so like zoomed in, like it just felt off to me. I played through the game, like I beat the whole game before, like years ago, but going back and I'm just like, oh man, this is throwing me off, dude. I don't know if it's because the weapon models are fucking huge, or it's just
Well,
something about it. Just maybe
well,
to go back.
it could just be that era of like first-person shooters, especially on consoles, you know. But maybe they could. But if they do make a more modern version of that, I'd be down for it.
Make another mag so there's another game with that many people that isn't a fucking goddamn coffee stand now. Seriously, like, this game is worthless now. This, like...
Which makes it all the more...
What am I gonna do with it?
Which makes it all the more hilarious whenever you go to, like, stores and they still have copies of it.
Yeah, and I just throw it, I just spit it at their face. I spit the mag at them. And say, that's bullshit.
How about another Elite Beat Agents?
Wouldn't the Osu series technically call that? Well, you mean localized, right? Because there have been follow-ups that never got localized. That would be something for the Nintendo Switch, especially if it's multi-touch. You could do more with that.
Yeah,
if you think about it. Make the game way fucking harder. Imagine playing that on an airplane. It's just on the stage, you're just poking at it, and it just falls off. Oh man, you'd probably do it like lying down, just looking over.
You guys want to know some games Horseplay listed for this?
Oh, lay it on us.
What do we got? List?
Oni, which if it's the Oni
that one
I'm thinking
Bungie
of,
game.
No,
it's the Bungie game.
Unless,
he didn't say.
Unless it's part of the better realized thing, then sure.
Well, yeah, he did say like not necessarily games that.
The game doesn't have to be good. Just anything that a sequel could improve on.
Well, there's certainly room for improvement with that. Rising Zan, Samurai Gunman.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, Johnny, no more.
That game is something else. So.
Fighting Lair.
That
Sudeki.
sounds familiar. What was Fighting Lair?
I don't know. Sudeki.
Oh god, I kept seeing that like around just on Xbox. I'm just like, oh, whatever. I don't even know.
Osman, Cannon Dancer. Air Guys, God Bless the Ring.
Oh no!
Yeah, sure. I'm sure that would ever get a fall.
Can I mention something about Air Guys? On the PlayStation demo disc that I got at like a yard sale, Air Guys was on there, and I played a bit of it, and I'm like, character control feels way better than I thought it would. Especially if like using a D-pad only. I was just like, whoa, what? Air Guys doesn't feel like shit? That doesn't mean the game's good, but that surprised me.
Some others. The Con.
Oh.
Here's one I agree wholeheartedly with. Windjammers.
What the fuck is Windjammers?
It's the game where you throw the disc back and forth trying to get it into the goal.
Is that the shirt Jeff Gertzman always wears?
Probably.
Yeah. I thought Windjammers was a wrestling thing with mufflers blowing out.
Wait, is that like the one arcade game that we always see at like conventions where it's that? Or... Okay, I know what you're talking about.
I don't. Shit.
You're basically like it's like an overhead game where you're like two guys just throwing a disc at each other kind of thing. It's a bit of a weird game, but...
So, okay, Fighting Lair was obviously a fighting game. And it's the gameplay system similar to Street Fighter EX, so...
Okay, last few. Shaolin Lord of Fist. Anarchy Reigns.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I already said... whatever.
It's Mad World, man!
It's connected to Mad World.
I was holding off on saying this one because they listed it, but God Hand.
That's a yes.
I did play a bit of God Hand over at SER's place. I want to play more.
Oh, and Horseplay added, I'd throw all of those into an incinerator if it means I can get a new Comics Zone.
Ooh.
Maybe as like a
Can we just salvage God Hand at least?
Can we have the same people who made Double Dragon Neon make a new Comics Zone?
What, Way Forward?
Yeah.
They probably could, like a
And can we also make sure that there's continues in the game?
Like, yeah, actually make it
like
somewhat,
not make it like difficult for the wrong reasons.
like make it at least somewhat fair.
Maybe not lose as much health from doing everything.
Just have it. Maybe they just have that as like an original difficulty mode for people that are the masochistic.
Yeah, but the new Comic Zone would have to be like, what, 30 minutes long?
Well, I believe we've exhausted that question.
We squeezed as much as we could out of it.
So if anyone else wants to ask us questions for the next podcast, you can ask it in the comments on the YouTube upload or on the site post, or you could ask us at our Facebook page, facebook.com/RiverCityGamers. For now, though, let's get into video updates, and I will start us off. So I mentioned this earlier in the podcast, but I have Fearless episodes to last at least a couple of months. I am going to try and mix in other things with that, like a couple videos I can just do just a moment on. I have a couple Strowing the Baselines planned, so those will probably come over the next month or so. Meanwhile, I'm deep into recording and scripting for the first episode of the Seiken Densetsu retrospective.
Ooh.
It's actually gone smoother so far than I thought, even though there was one point where I ran out of a certain thing, had to back out of the dungeon, find an item shop, buy it, and then go back in.
I could confirm that because going to SCR's place, just scattered around, it's like, oh, blank of mana here, blank of mana there, fancy, it's everywhere.
Well, anyway, I still have to record the next part of Michigan, and
It'll come out someday.
Yeah.
sometime. But meanwhile, there are a couple of alpha as that I have lined up. First one's going to be a little tough because it's just like an early demo of the game, but everything is in Japanese. So there's going to be a little translation work with that as well.
Putting your learning to good use.
That diploma's getting a workout. But I believe that's it for me. I mean, there's something else I can mention, but I'm going to leave that to Unreal. So,
Well, there was also that thing for Christmas, right?
yeah, stay tuned. Anyway, Blondy.
Nothing really new on my end. I'm still working on Tales of Legendia for the next retrospective part of that. I've been recording more of the game, right? Last I left off, I was at over 24 hours into the game, so I still got a bit ways to go, I believe, for that game. So hopefully I'll keep at it with playing through that game and then get the next part out for that. And from there, it's just the usual other videos to work on too, like they made a sequel and such. So nothing new there other than I'm still working on it.
And Unreal.
Okay, I actually did get the Umbrella Corps video done. I can't believe I did it before my deadline. Fun fact, I was supposed to make it public on YouTube like 1 week after I uploaded it to the site. And then like I got home from Youmacon and the entire week I didn't make it public. So today I was like, oh fuck, I better make that public. So that, like, by the time this podcast is out, the review is like public to everyone instead of just being on the RCG site. So whoops, that was my bad. I fucked up. So hopefully like the video like, you know, gets out there a little bit more. But hey, I finished the review and I'm like happy with that. Even though the game was shit, but that's fine.
Hey, whatever gets you back.
Minor update on the collab review with me and SCR. I gave him the footage, like most of the live action footage, to his computer while we were at Youmacon. So that's taken care of, but we still gotta like get the game footage. And I believe that's gonna have to be on me because SCR, you've told me that your Elgato just will not work.
I'm still going back with tech support on them, and so far nothing's worked.
Really? Jeez.
So when would you want me to try and start?
Give me, like, jeez. You know what? Give me until the end of this week.
I will do as such. And depending on what happens, it's like, I'm probably gonna have to transfer one at a time. because like since we're not close to each other anymore in terms of recording, and Skype decided to limit file transfers.
Thanks, Skype.
Now bank accounts easily hackable into. You just fucking send like malicious links to your entire contact list. But no, just limit the file size transfer. No, that's great. So I gotta figure out like how I'm gonna send that stuff to you. It's probably gonna be like, again, one clip at a time for space reasons, and at least on my hard drive, I'm gonna attempt to do maybe a single level per video, and depending on how long said level is, it might be 2 per like whatever. That's the goal, but we're still working on it. Still not saying what it is, so there's updates on that end. Nothing else outside of that. I did record footage of Youmacon. There might be a con video in the future, but I'm still playing catch up for missed Kineticon and Anime North years, as well as this year's Youmacon.
So look forward to the Youmacon video in 3 years.
That is accurate. It also doesn't help that a lot of the con videos are like depending on which one, is like an hour long, so I have to go through a bunch and like really like figure out, do I split this into 2 parts and just do a whole hour video, or just, you know, there's in other words, there's a lot of footage to look through and deal with across multiple cons, so that's why it's taking a while. And I think that does it for me.
Well, then that does it for the podcast. So once again, I'm SCXCR.
I am Unreal.
And I'm Blondy Gamer.
And I'm going to bed.
That sounds good too.
Celestial hood ship, super equipped, reverse technological chips.